Hello and welcome everybody. I'm your host, Info Guides, and I'm here to show you guys what I have learned over the past week and a half of play testing the game Stars Reach, which is some refer to as a spiritual successor to the Star Wars Galaxy type game. A lot of the game mechanics or crafting mechanics are similar from what we've seen so far. Now, in this video, I gotta preface this with I can't play the game right now. The servers aren't up all the time, and even when they are, I don't have access to all play testing. But I'm going to go over a series of just screenshots just to kind of represent what I have played in the game. These are screenshots of my gameplay, and as well as a little side website I'm making, just to kind of go over Stars Reach, what I believe it has going for it, what I believe is kind of its weak points, and some of my concerns. And of course, overall summary of how I feel about the game's future. Now, again, I want to make sure everybody knows this game is in pre-alpha. The servers are not online all the time. The game is in no way near finished. The numbers and the stats of everything in the game are in no way balanced or accurate. It's more about just the mechanic is there. One second. Why I get a drink. I should have taken a drink before starting my video clip here, but so why I take a drink. If you guys like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon, click the heart icon, and whatever other social things are down there along the bottom of the video that you might be able to click and help me out. Um, okay, now I'm a huge Star Wars Galaxies fan, but I am not going to try to refer to it too much in the sense of Star Wars Galaxies. I'm going to give you guys a summary of my first week and a half of playtesting, which equates to about, we'll round up and say 16 hours in their pre alpha playtest. 16 might be a bit high, maybe 12. Okay, so what you're looking at here is just a screenshot of some of the construction that they have in the game right now. You can see the grass being replaced here at the bottom of your bottom here with paved stones. So in it, they have a tool that will let you flatten the ground area. It will let you convert the grassland and stuff into more of a paved stone, and they have different textures for you to do so. Now, the really horrible structure you see here is a couple of different types of crafting that they have for architects. Um, and here you can see the floor are really made up of 1 meter by 1 meter blocks of stuff that you've collected. So here you can see white back here. That was 1 meter by 1 meter cubed blocks of one type of stone, and this is another type of stone. So I put those down with that tool, and you can build walls and but everything right now with that tool in the game, you build one block at a time. And then they have what are called prefabricated pieces. So this archway with all the fanciness, this is a prefabricated piece, and they have a whole set of pieces of this style for you to make houses and homes, walls, ceilings, rooms, all that kind of stuff out of. So this definitely looks nice. The prefabricated piece tool builder, I believe works better right now than what they're calling basically a 1 by 1 a block builder. I'll call a voxel builder. Um, I don't know the technical name, but one of my criticisms is along the side you have a tool belt. And what I find strange is if I'm building a building, if I want to pave the road, that's one tool called a paver, not shown here in this screenshot. If I want to build the blocks down here along the bottom, That's a different tool. I believe that one's called a Instaformer. And then if I want to build with the pieces up here that are pre-designed, it's a third tool called a fabricator. Now, right now they only give us 4 slots in what this over here is called a tool belt. And they only give us 4 slots for tools, weapons, everything. Um and so my concern is I'm a I'm an architect. I'm just trying to build something. And I got to use up 3 slots right now just to get a flat surface, some blocks, and some walls. I got to have 3 of my 4 available tool belts filled up with different tools. I foresee this is one of my criticisms. I foresee a lot of tool belt swapping needed, and almost on the side of too much tool belt swapping. If they only give us 4 slots, I'm struggling with that, um, because they have a lot of their skills are behind tool belts or tool belt tools, which is fine. It's no different than other games where, hey, I have a one-handed sword, and you have special abilities that you're tying up that only work on or with a one-handed sword. This is no different. It's just a tool belt. The difference is with only 4 slots, I got to juggle those tools quite often just to complete, in a sense, what could be one structure. Okay. Now, on the positive side, I really do think the building aspect, how can I explain it? It's got a lot going for it. It's pretty strong. Obviously, we've got a limited number of tile sets and all that kind of stuff, but it's got a lot going for it. So I'm pretty happy with that. Another tool that they have is called a Xylo Slicer. This is how, basically, if you want to cut down trees in the game, this is how all of that goes. Now, again, this is another tool that goes in the tool belt. Instead of it just being a skill on your person, but even if it was a skill on your person, you'd most likely have to equip an axe to go cut down a tree. So this is just a more sci-fi take on it. Instead of having an axe, we have a Xylo slicer. You go up to trees, you select a tree, and it will chop it up into bits and parts, and all is well. These mechanics in the game, I think, are working well, smooth, running around the game, jumping around in critters and monsters. All of that is nice and smooth, uh, smooth. And for that, I will give this pre-alpha is top notch for pre-alpha in my mind. Um, how smooth the world is. And I'll say on the play test, there's probably about 100 people that zone in and jump around. Now it's divided up into planets. So each zone being a planet or server being a planet. It's not like one planet has all 100 at any one time. But I've seen a good, 30, 40 people on in one area all at once, and it ran nice and smooth. Has these other tools called this next one here, this next screenshot anyway. This is an end game type item. It's called a gravity mesh. It basically gives you the ability to fly. And now this, I'm not going to lie, is just truly awesome. My only critique and criticism is they've given this to us right in the beginning of a pre-alpha test. It's going to really hurt when they take that away from us. So this is just me just kind of flying over the surface. You can the yellow bar down here at the bottom is this is your stamina, and this gravity mesh tool or skill or whatever it's attached to is all based off of your stamina. You can fly as long as you have stamina. Now in the game, you can also have food. Well, food is in the game, and foods give you food buffs. Those food buffs might heal you. They might give you extra health on your health bar. extra stamina recharge, typical food system. Right now, they don't really say how many foods you can have in your system at any one time. I don't think that mechanic's in there yet, but overall, this aspect of the game is pretty slick, smooth, fun. Uh, I enjoy it quite a bit. So no complaints on gameplay. Uh, so let's jump into now. uh, So these are just some more of the screenshots of me just flying around because I could. So this just gives you an idea of some of the scenery. Okay, so now let's get into uh the UI. This here, you're looking at the inventory, and this is your tool belt over here. And you can see these items in here right now. Pretty much each one of these is a different tool, plus the ones we have over here. So we've got in a pre-alpha, we've already got ourselves, what do we got? 7. We got at least 11 tools in the game right now, and it's only going to get more and more and more. This is where I'm concerned about only having space for the 4 items in your tool belt. Doing simple things, it's like I feel I'm going to be juggling tools more often than anything else in this game right now. So that's a small critique. We'll see what it's like. This is pre-alpha, so no big deal. That being said, let me go over some pros and cons of the how the team is done in the span of 1 week. When I first started playing, when we would mouse over a an item, there was no name at all that would show up on the item. You had to click on it to see the name of the item down here at the bottom. Well, now in the span of a week, they've added the mouse over tooltip now, so you can see the names of all the items without having to click on each one. And they've also added some initial stats on some of the items down here at the bottom. You can see damage, focus, and cooldown. So they've added some tooltips. They're adding some extra stats for us to see. What that means is if they're adding those stats, they're going to start using those in the back end of the game. If they weren't already, I'm sure they're getting ready to. Now, I did talk to Raph in one of my live streams, and all this dead space off on the right here. Eventually, this will have what he said was a paper towel. This will be your inventory figure where you can equip clothing, hats, belts, all this kind of stuff, and your tool belt is just one option. So you'll have your paper dowel figure over here eventually. It's just not in the game right now. But I like how fast the team is able to push updates into the game. It doesn't have to be full blown, I need a new boss type. No, but the fact that the UI was lacking simple things, tool tips and all that, they added them in the span of 1 week of my gameplay. Kudos to the team there. Now I just got a bunch of screenshots. Let's see. Let me go. Oh, let me go overland. Some screenshots here. Okay, so this is ice. Ice will form on the planets and everything at high altitude. You also have a tool that can, at lower altitudes, freeze things as well as burn things. On the ice right now, it is definitely got a very slippery surface. You can easily go skiing off the side of cliffs on their ice right now, which is very cool. So let's talk a moment about the planets themselves. They call them living planets or a living galaxy. I'm going to go ahead and use layman's terms, and we're going to call this simulated planets. Each planet is simulated. And so each planet basically is alive. And if you cut down a tree, it remembers it. If you alter the land, it remembers it. It's a permanent change. And as well as the game will eventually have seasons turned on. They're not turned on right now, but seasons are kind of like this ice landscape here, where the trees during the winter Some of them may lose their leaves, get covered in ice. Um, some of them might retain their leaves, but obviously look like they're snow covered. But you'll have seasonal effects. Lakes will freeze, all this kind of stuff. And so that's very unique. The fact that you can modify the landscape, you can dig tunnels into the side of the cliffs, you can do all sorts of things. The neat thing is all of that is a permanent change to the planet. Also, things um, behave as you would expect. I don't know how to explain this. So materials have densities to them. So on the side of a hill, if you dump a bucket of water, it's going to go flowing down the hill. That happens in the game. You just don't have buckets of water, but water will flow down the sides of things. But on top of water, other things will flow down the side and smooth out, such as sand will flow rather quickly. Gravels will kind of flow. So if you're trying to build at the edge of something, you don't want a low density material. You want something that more solid and building with blocks. Let's see. So some of the trees bear fruit. You can collect the fruit off the trees. So that's their part of the food system in farming and gardening. Yeah, they've got right now that I've seen bananas, coconuts, lemons, and limes. Let's see. This is an. I don't know if that shows it. This aspect here I thought was very cool in the game. For the pre-alpha test, we've got the ability to climb trees. You can climb pretty much almost any surface that's too vertical for you to walk up or run up the side of. Your character will go into a climbing mode, and you can literally climb a little bit more than 90-degree surfaces. Like if this was at a slight, we'll call it a backwards angle here of a 95-degree angle, or a -5-degree angle, however your mind wants to view that. Um, you can still climb up that at a slight negative angle. It's really neat. I love the climbing aspect in the game. Here you can see me just climbing up into the tree. Now, I'm not sure what the whole benefit of that is. I'm going through these real quick here. Okay, so this is me just digging a hole literally through the side of a mountainside just for the sake of digging a hole. Now, this hole that I dug through the mountain, that's a permanent change. That will not be altered by anybody else. That is just how it's going to be. So, that is really neat about the game. And that's what's going to also lend a lot of complexity to it. Now let's talk a little bit more about the website that I'm working on. It's a work in progress, of course. I'm working on starreachwiki.com. Right now, I have the species in. Right now, the information on the species is false. We do know that they will have some sort of modifiers to them. What you're seeing here on the screen is all false. It's stuff that I generated, but they've got the Terran race, the Eloni race, male and females, of course. Then they got the Scotchy or Squatchy. Now, the artwork you're seeing here looks like it needs to be updated because when I see these characters in the game, their character models look uh less childish than they do right here, I guess is the best way to put it. So you got the Squatchy, and then you've got uh this race here, which is the Gurton or Gurton. And so you've got the Gurton here. Now, profession wise, their skill trees. Now, this site I'm making mimics their skill trees as they are in the pre-alpha playtest. Things change, so this may be out of date since I was last able to play. But in here, you've got your botany skill tree, you have harvester tool. Think of these skills as actually certifications to use that tool. Same thing here with forestry. You've got the forestry tree here. Now they don't have any kind of icons or anything with the skills yet, and the amount of XP needed to unlock is definitely 100% not set in stone. I would almost say it's all fake at the current time. It's just the placeholders. You've got your ranger skill trees, your combat skill trees, mineralogy, and civil engineering. With all of this, we've got a total of 6 professions, but there's at least 11 tools, maybe 12 different tools in the game. And this is where I'm getting, again, one of my critiques. Uh, a little bit concerned about the UI for the tool belt being limited to 4 items, but having to juggle so many tools. Um, we'll see how it turns out. That's just a critique of mine. Let's see. Oh, status icons in the game. So when you go up against bad guys, you'll see these status icons appear above their heads. And these icons are to kind of give you an idea of what that mob thinks of you. Is it afraid of you? Is it angry at you? Some of these I haven't seen in the game. But here, when you see relieved, it's like, okay, it sees you. Is it afraid of you? So you'll see it kind of series of icons show up around them, and life is good. So that is just some of the in-game mobs and how you can identify if they're going to be aggressive. Right now in the game, it seems like almost all mobs are aggressive. I think the only ones that didn't outright bum rush me were deer. Um, but I haven't really gone after all the mobs either, so who knows? Uh, so overall, I really think I started adding tool belt items here, but yeah, this is still a work in progress. Keep that in mind. Uh, but I started adding some of this information outside of the game, so it's easier to kind of look at these, what they do when you can't get to the playtest servers. I haven't done anything with resources or recipes yet, but that's not really what I'm trying to show here. I'm just really trying to show that we've got these different skill trees. Okay, a summary of the game. Where it started a week and a half ago, it was it was much better than I expected. Uh Over that week and a half, they have managed to put in a lot of quality of life bug fixes into the game. Now that's huge. It's small things, but they make a huge difference in the game. So all those small things in the UI that they've been adding for quality of life is good. On the downside, their UI, sorry, is the worst aspect of the game right now. Don't take that as it's horrible. Don't play the game. No, 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 no. It's a pre-alpha. They're figuring things out. What UI elements work, what doesn't. So right now, the worst aspect of the game is the UI. Let me bring up. They're trying for a very limited on-screen HUD UI. And I feel, my personal opinion, that is too lightweight, too limited. We'll see where it lands. I'm hoping maybe they'll figure something out and make this flow better for me. They don't have to. This is their game. It is not terrible in any way. I can learn to live with this as is right now. Uh, these are just my recommendations. There needs to be more. They're going too minimalistic for a MMO. If this was a single player online with other people experience, this UI works great. But this is supposed to be an MMO. I want to see a list, a HUD display of 30 people in my group. I want to see a mini map. I want to see a lot more on my screen about the game. Um, and right now, we don't see any elements of these. As I'm seeing the other side of it, where they're trying to hide all these things to give you this immersive experience. That immersive experience is great for a single player game. I want and hope for an MMO experience, which means I see a lot more about my friends in my groups and all that. Yes, it can clutter your screen. All they got to do is allow us to uh, turn on or off individual panels that you, the player, may not want to see. I want to see that if it's an MMO. If it's going to remain kind of do it yourself single player game, okay, I don't need any of that. So that's my biggest critique. Overall summary of the game. It's got a bright future. It really does. It is not for everybody. It would be silly to think so, but the game has very good playability with where it's at right now. We've got nice landscapes. The playability on the landscapes and all that is nice. It's smooth. I like it. Um, with the game where it's at right now, it leaves me wanting more. I want to be able to plant gardens. I want to be able to truly start a crafting economy. I want to start putting down a house that's a permanent house structure. But on the pre-alpha, there is no permanency because they are doing server updates and servers get wiped. I'll say right now once a week. So that permanency isn't there, and that's what I find. Oh, I want that. So take a step back from that comment and realize I want permanency. I want the rest of the game. So the pre-alpha is great. It has hooked me and put me in a situation where I want more. I want those next systems. I want the next pieces to come into the game so I can experience a more permanency to this world that or game that they've got going here. So kudos to the team. That's what I've got to give you guys after a week and a half of testing. There's play testing later today. I'll be live streaming, so hope to catch you then. But until then, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, click on any hearts, share it with all your friends, share it with all your non-friends, um, and anything else you can do to help me in these wonderful YouTube algorithms. Again, I've been your host, NFO Guides. Peace.